this was just tremendous. I kind of had a good friend, Bill Lindert. You maybe know him here from Beaver Dam.
From the fire department.
Yeah, fire department. I got a call from him one day. We flew out on, I guess something February 17th, or April 17th. But he called me about, I'm going to say 2 or more weeks ahead. And he says, Jim, he says, you taught me to be a real good carpenter. And then you were on the fire department, and I joined the fire department as a volunteer. And then I went full-time, and you made me a real good fireman. He says, and I've always wanted to do something for you. And I said, well, you don't know. No, he says, you've done so much for me, I want to do something for you. He says, I'm going to be your guardian. I don't know what the heck a guardian was. But anyway, and he explained to me that for every 2 of you guys that are going over to
the World War II,
they have to have a guardian. And one guardian takes care of 2 people. So I'm going to be your guardian, he says, and the money's been sent in, I've got it already, and it's coming. He said, it won't be too long from now, but he couldn't tell me just when. And then it wasn't long after that I heard Jim Kaiser and was one of 5 guys from Post 146 that was going to go over there. And that flight was, we got on that flight in Madison, we had to be there at 4:30 in the morning. And Piper Cups was the biggest thing that I've ever been up in my life. And boy, this was the ship. But anyway, you had to go through to take your shoes off. No, it never went through it. It was just a great experience. If you guys that have flown a lot, you know what the heck that is. But I went through past that all right, and we took off for Madison, I can't even think of Washington. We landed out there. I couldn't believe it. We went, seems like for miles, taxiing on the ground, and everywhere you looked, there's huge aircraft and big buildings and loans. I couldn't believe there was that many airplanes in the world that weren't even flying yet. But we had a good flight there, and got picked up on a bus, and they took us out to the World War II memorial, and we were there for, and that, I can't, the big pond in the middle, and all the way around it. A couple of things that really impressed me. There was one there must have been, I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds of gold stars on it. And that was, there was one there, I think it was for every 500 guys that were killed in World War II. And this was huge. It was bigger than that wall over there, and just nothing but when you figure there was about 400 and some thousand GIs were killed, guys were killed in World War II. They had a flag with a name on it for each 500 of them. Not a name, but a flag for each of the 500. And one other thing I did see there, we looked back in a little place, it looked like it was where they could adjust the flow in this fountain or something like that, in a little door there. And here was the sign with the fingers hanging over and the head looking at you. Oh, yeah. Kilroy was here. I hadn't seen or heard of that for I don't know how many years. And just that was just a great experience.
For our younger listeners, that was something that was all over the place during World War II. Somebody came up with it, indicating that wherever the Army or the Navy or the Marines were, Kilroy was there.
Yeah. They never got the
cartoon character.
They never got the real Kilroy, I don't think. But anyway, that really brought back. I hadn't even heard that or thought of it for 50 some years, I suppose. But and the memorial out there was just unbelievable. The things that we saw and everything there. And then the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We went there, and the Marine Honor Guard that was there to watch them pace back and forth and change guard. It was, I couldn't believe it. I mean, everything clicked, every step. It really hits you right in the heart to see that, you know. And then the National Cemetery, the stars or flags and the crosses and stars of David and stuff like that. Okay. And anyhow, we saw that, and we came out of that, and every cross you looked at, no matter how you looked at it, it was a straight row. You look at this one over here, it was a straight row as far as you could see. Just beautiful. But I got down, we were going back to the bus, and there was a guy working there, a maintenance man. He says, do you remember Audie Murphy? And I said, yes, I do. I said, he was the most decorated military man we had in the war. And he says, see that one marker up there stands a little higher, and go up there and look at that and say hello to him. And I went up there and I stood by his grave. And the poor guy, he went through all that hell. I don't know how many medals of honors. He won more medals of honors than any other man in the service, and he was killed in a small plane crash later on.
Right, he'd been an actor for a while after.
Yeah, I think so.
The war, and I think one of the movie that portrays his life, which he starred in himself, he portrayed himself in this movie. It's on today somewhere on one of the cable channels.
He should not have survived the war. I mean, it's impossible that for what he did and he went through, but he did have one comment once. I remember reading that somewhere when he was hit. He says, I'm out here, I've never been hurt and shot before, he says, and where do I get shot? In the hinders.
You know, and isn't that one of the things that maybe you thought about when you were in the Navy over in Okinawa and these suicide attacks by the Japanese were going on, the randomness of war and who lives and who dies. It's totally random. You can do everything right, do what your superiors tell you to do. You can be trained up 100%, but some random act, some random bullet from somewhere has got your name on it, and that's it.
Yeah, same thing with the whole ship. We stood going over, you spend so many hours looking at the sea, you look so many looking at the sky, so many looking at the sea, because you had aircraft and submarines to look out for, you know, and once in a while a ship would hit something. So like you say, it's random. Nobody knew if there was a mine out there, or if all of a sudden, Japanese had torpedoes that would go for miles, and it could come out of nowhere and take you.
The honor flight, something that you really, and that's why you came here today, Jim, was to talk about that honor flight and how strongly you felt about it.
Well, we had to get to Madison Airport at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and we went through all, and when we got there already at 4:30 a.m., there was a military group there that played a band for us. There was military people already shaking your hand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. People all over already. Thank you, thank you. This is at 4:30 in the morning, and I can't tell you. I think we didn't take off until, Ann, would you say 7 o'clock? About 7? And she was with Bill and his wife, and she was driving, and they did see us. They parked along the airfield there, and they did see us take off. I'd never been on a big ship like that before. And he said, you sit by the window, and I could look at the wing, you know, and I thought, gee, I think one of those Piper Cubs could have landed on that thing.
On the wing.
Yeah, but we got out there, and, well, I don't know, I kind of lose train of thought there, but anyhow.
Did you get some letters now from children?
Yes, I'll tell you, yeah, this is on the way. We went through the Vietnam Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, once in a while things don't always just mesh the way they should be. But anyway, it was just so much to see and do, and anyway, we were coming back after we took off, left out there to come back. We were just maybe 10 minutes out or so, and a pilot comes over. He says, we are now at 6,500 feet, going 235 miles an hour, and there will be a mail call. And a mail call, you know, you don't get that. All of a sudden, they were coming down and calling names, and they're handing out some big envelopes. And he said, Jim Kaiser. And here I got one, a big envelope. And then Bill got one, and there was a guy, he was a retired pharmacist. He had a pharmacy in Sun Prairie. Don, his name was. That's the most I met knew of him. But anyway, he got one too. We all got an envelope. We sat down, all three of us at the same time. We're reaching in our pocket and just stopped and looked at you. Don't have a jackknife to open it up with. So they didn't get opened up until we got home. But I'll never forget that. It hit me. No. I always felt naked without a jackknife. I was a carpenter, and even kid growing up along the river, we always whittled and things like that. And I didn't have a jackknife. And it just instinctively. And it just like we were all one person. We all reached at the same time. We all put our hand out and looked at each other. Yeah, there you go. I got one too. Yeah, I got one here too.
Well, the strong feelings you have and how much you appreciate these honor flights is a real testament to the people who came up with this idea, the volunteers who put these flights together, and the volunteers who make them possible for you. They've done a wonderful job.
I'd like to add, we got back about 7 a.m. that evening. And PM, excuse me. And everywhere you went, up there, all over, people, thank you, you know. And at the memorial, there'd be 10, 15 people maybe off 20 feet from me. They'd all come over and say thank you. An individual would say thank you. You know, and I remember I asked one woman, I said, you weren't even born when I was rattling around the Pacific. And you say thank you? She says, our world would not be what it is now if you guys hadn't done that. So I guess that explained it. But it just, I kind of almost kind of break down sometimes when I think of there was another woman out there at the memorial. She was bound and determined I should be in a wheelchair. And Bill told her, he's out walking me, and I'm 10 years younger than he is. But I was mostly on my feet all the time, and I wasn't, you know, I could walk. And it was just.
Were you worried that the engines would stop and you wouldn't get back down?
The what?
Were you worried that the engines would stop and you wouldn't get back down?
No.
No?
No. We both, I think all three of us looked at Bill and I, we looked at each other when we took off. I had never been on a big ship. He's done quite a bit of flying like that before. I thought, if something happens, it happens. I mean, hell, I'm 83 years old. If I'm going to go down in a plane crash now, I can't go and ask for my money back.